Hey, welcome in, Big Chief Show. Happy Sunday morning. Happy Week 11 pregame show. Your boy Freddie D. And of course, no, that is not Kenny Stabler. He's still dead. But you know,
he's still a Hall of Famer.
Michael Babbo. Michael Babbo's alive, kicking, fired up this morning.
Oh,
and you know, no big surprise on that front.
Yeah.
No big surprise on that front. Second pregame show in a row. We debuted it last Sunday. Chiefs had no game last Sunday, so we figured, you know what, let's roll the dice, let's give it a shot. Here we are today doing the damn thing once again. And you know, your boy rolled out of bed 45 minutes ago, so boom, here we go. Taking care of some business outside of the Chiefs show. But again, look, week 11, and of course, Mike, we're going to do a 6-pack of games, talk about those, give our thoughts, and then boom, get the hell out of here. And then I'll tell you what, we are going to – here's the question I have for you, because I kind of screwed the pooch last Sunday when we decided, all right, we're going to pick games, which that's nothing new for myself, you, and our boy Henry Thomas. We've got some news to break, which really isn't breaking news, unfortunately. And maybe we should have beef with the NFL communications people. I mean, we're talking about $1 billion organization who somehow, some way – can't inform people of some of the biggest life-changing news ever. And the NFL's like, if you find out, you find out. We'll get to that in just a second. So, but before we do that, I got to ask you, are we going to do, we did our 6-pack of games last week. However, we screwed the pooch, or I screwed the pooch by, we would pick some straight up, or sometimes Fred would decide on his own, hey, let's go ahead and do it by points. Mike Babbo, what say you? We're going to pick these games, but are we picking them with points, or are we just going to say, fuck it, straight up?
No, I have a solution to this, Freddie D. We are going to pick the games with the points, all right? And if you beat the spread, you get 1 point.
See, you're doing. You see, here you go. You sound like that guy in your fantasy league. There's too much going on right here. I say, look,
this is not too complicated. I know you've probably fallen off a couple of roofs, but it's not too complicated. Okay, listen. If you're against the spread, you win against the spread, you get a point. If you call an outright upset, you get 2.
Well, but that's just, but you're still covering the spread in that case.
I know, but you get an extra point, a la Houston versus Cleveland or Cincinnati last week.
Okay, so what you're saying is if a favorite wins, you get 1 point. If a dog wins, you get 2.
No, if a dog wins out. If a dog covers the spread, you get 1.
Well, that's what you're doing. But if you're saying, but that's what I'm saying.
But if they win out straight out, you get 2.
We're making this more. Tell you what, I will defer to you on all that. I'm just going to write shit down because that's what I do.
You're going to write shit down.
I'm just going to keep it simple. So you got this. You have the spreads.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all that matters. All right, you got the spreads. I got the
pain. Dottie Murphy. Let's go.
Who's got the pain? That's what I want to know. Who's got the pain?
Who's got the pain?
We know who doesn't have the pain.
Yeah, contractor. That's right.
Yeah, he doesn't have the pain. Before we get into our 6-pack of games, let me see here real quick. All right, so we're standing by. We're efforting to get our friend Henry Thomas on the show this morning. And why are we endeavoring,
Freddie? Why are we endeavoring to get Freddie Thomas on the show or Henry Thomas?
Henry Thomas? I'll tell you why. That's a great question. One, I need to trim this beard. But number two, so yesterday afternoon, I get a text message, or I get a call from Henry Thomas. He calls a couple times. I was driving. I'm trying to be more responsible about driving and calling or texting or whatever. But anyway, he calls me a third time, and I said, all right, this guy must really need something because Henry Thomas never calls me 3 times in a row. I'm thinking, maybe he's in trouble. Maybe, God forbid, who knows what. I answer the phone. It's utter chaos on the other end of the line, and it's Henry Thomas telling me, hey, I just got word that I've been nominated for the NFL Hall of Fame. And I said, well, I hadn't heard anything that there was any nominations for the Hall of Fame. Like, I didn't even know that was you hear about it during the Super Bowl or Pro Bowl or whatever, they announce the people, yada, yada, yada. But the actual selection process, we're, like I said, you're fighting with people in your league. I'm fighting with contractors. Super Hall of Fame stuff isn't on top of anybody's mind. So a quick Google search and Henry doing a little of his own due diligence, we discover that Henry Thomas, back in September, which was 2 months ago, was nominated for the NFL Hall of Fame.
And who broke the story, Fred? Why don't you remind us?
Well, who broke the story for Henry?
For Henry.
Was, and this is where I have a legitimate beef, outside the NFL not letting him know. But the other legitimate gripe that I have is that, okay, so the LSU newsletter writes a story about how, hey, our own Henry Thomas has been nominated for the Hall. Great story. Great. Hey, as you should. But Journalism 101, which I know journalism is a lost art these days, but they didn't even reach out to Henry. You would think that when you're writing a story about somebody and a life-altering accomplishment or achievement, that you would say, hey, Henry Thomas, how do you feel about this nomination? Give us your thoughts on being nominated for the highest honor in football history. Tell us what you think about that. How's it feel?
I'll even do you one better if I can. Where are the Vikings in all this? A, why isn't Henry Thomas with 93
and a half
sacks career-wise, first in as a nose tackle?
Most everybody knows tackle in the history of the National Football League.
Exactly. Who have not nominated him or put him on the Ring of Honor? Where's the Vikings alumni saying, hey, dude, you're a semifinalist? Where are they talking him up? I Googled this all yesterday. As soon as you told me about this, nothing. Zip. Crickets. Nada. It's ridiculous. And it's typical how screwed up the Vikings operation is. I understand that they're trying to win ball games, but where's their football operations people? Where's their alumni organization? Why aren't they touting this guy who played 10 years for them?
8 years.
Who missed, I think, 3 snaps?
No, he played 8 years for the years for the Vikings, 2 years for the Lions, 4 years for the 4 years for the Patriots.
12 total. Where are they?
14. Mike and numbers.
I'm so pissed off I can't even get my numbers straight.
Mike and numbers are not friends this morning, so don't feel bad about that. Mike, like I said, a lot on his mind this morning.
Regardless, I mean, it's just absolutely ridiculous. They can't.
It is.
They can't get behind one of their great defensive players of all time.
The linchpin of one of the greatest defenses in Minnesota Viking history, and that's saying something because the Minnesota Vikings have had, the Purple People Eaters for one, but so for them, but I think it speaks to a larger issue as far as the NFL is concerned. The fact that you are nominating people for the Hall of Fame and not letting anybody know. By the way, and look, this is no. They're Hall of Fame nominees, so of course there are no slouches. Here are some of the names that have been nominated for the last 2 months, and we're just now finding out about it. John Abraham, Jared Allen, Dwight Freeney, Leroy Glover, Casey Hampton, Robert Mathis, Haloti Ngata, Leslie O'Neal, Julius Peppers, Simeon Rice, Justin Smith, Neil Smith, Dana Stubblefield, Henry Thomas, Justin Tuck, Ted Washington, Vince Wilfork, Jamal Williams, Kevin Williams, and Pat Williams as well. So 20 different linemen nominated for the Super Bowl, for the NFL Hall of Fame. And we'll find out this month. There was 173 people nominated altogether, and they're going to narrow it down to 25 this month. They didn't say when in November. My guess is it's probably going to be next week or the week after. I mean, hell, it's hard to believe, Mike Babbo, that we're already less than a week away from Thanksgiving. We'll do a little Thanksgiving show on Wednesday because I'm curious to get, look, it's as much about, you're going to have 3 games on Thanksgiving, which is always fun to watch. And then of course on Friday, the first ever Black Friday game. So they're not doing a Thursday night game, in the typical Thursday night fashion, because like I said, you got the 3 Thanksgiving games. And then you'll have the, I think it's the Dolphins and somebody else are playing on Black Friday.
They are adding that game outright because they always had 3 games. Well, they've had 3 games over the last 7 years, but they're adding a Friday night game. and it is the Dolphins. I believe it is. They are playing.
It's on Amazon.
Yeah, they're playing the Jets in New York.
Hello.
So an AFC East matchup. We'll get to those on Wednesday, but it's the Packers versus the Lions, and then the Commanders travel to Dallas to play the Cowboys, and then the 49ers play the Seahawks. So all 4 games Thanksgiving weekend are divisional rivalry games. So it should be very interesting. Should be fun.
Good stuff. So there you have it. All right.
But on to week 11, Freddie D.
On to week 11. Let's okay, so here's the deal. We're going to talk Cards, Texans, Jets, Bills, Vikes, Broncos, Steelers, Browns, Raiders, Fins, and we will cap it off with the Chiefs and the Eagles. It's obviously the most anticipated game of the young NFL season, and rightfully so. Arguably the 2 best teams in the National Football League, with the Eagles, with the Chiefs. I actually called into Mad Dog Radio last night, Mike Babbo. Your boy was driving around late last night and was listening to him talk and decided, you know what, let's just take a flyer, see if they let me on. And sure enough, they did. And I will echo exactly what I said will be the difference in that game. He kind of poo-pooed me a little bit, but I'll let you, and you're not going to be surprised as to what I said, but we'll get to that here later on. Let's get this thing rocking and rolling, though. Cardinals, Texans, that's going down. That's a noon game. Give me the spread. What you got, Bitter Mike Babbo?
So the Cardinals travel to Houston. They are 2-8. They came off a thrilling come-from-behind win last week. And then they visit the 5-4 Texans, who are on the upswing. The Texans are favored by 6 as of print time.
The Texans getting 6 point love.
Yeah.
I'll put it to like this. And we're going with the spread, correct? We are picking with or against.
Without the spread. With the we got to pick with the spread.
Look, I think the Texans win. I really do, but I think the Cards do find a way to cover. I like the Texans to win. I like them to win this game. I've got it 31-27. I think it's going to be a little bit closer than expected. The Cardinals are a very well-coached team. Now that you got Kyler Murray back in the fold, it certainly changes kind of the trajectory, or not necessarily the trajectory, so to speak, maybe a little bit. I mean, this was a team already we knew that was going to be competing for a top 5 draft pick, just for the simple fact that, again, you were playing Josh Dobbs, who apparently is, fucking Joe Montana all of a sudden. But that's it. The Cardinals are a team that have been scrappy all year long. And again, you've gotten decent quarterback play out of a Josh Dobbs. They beat the Cowboys earlier this year. And then of course he fell back to earth. You put Clayton Tune in. He had zero business being a National Football League starting quarterback. Not to say that he can't be one later on down the line, but he definitely looked overwhelmed. But that defense is, again, that team has been very competitive. And like I said, in versus years past with that Cardinals, you kind of just say, they've been competitive. I expect more of that today. Kyler Murray, and you know what? Kyler Murray's playing for his name. All right. Kyler Murray is a guy who, and look, you know this as well as anybody, Mike. The NFL, we already know it's a what have you done for me lately league, but it's also a, you know what? We will kick you out. We will kick you to the curb real quick in the National Football League. Money means nothing. All it means is if you got a contract and you're not performing, guess what? You're an albatross. You're a Danny Dimes, all right? And Kyler Murray is kind of trying to remind people, you know what? I'm actually a pretty dadgum good quarterback, even though I'm 5'4". So be curious to watch how this whole thing turns out today. Ultimately, it comes down to C.J. Stroud, because this is a Texans team that is playing for a playoff spot. And when you go from being garbage to suddenly a team in the mix like the Texans are, this is a game that you have to win today. This is what separates. This is where the Texans are kind of on that trajectory of, okay, can we take them for real? And if you are a team that should be taken for real, you win a game like today because you are the better team than the Arizona Cardinals.
Well, I actually see the Texans covering the 6-point spread here. No matter that the Cardinals get Kyler Murray back, they get James Conner back. They do lose Michael Wilson. He was questionable with the shoulder injury, but he has been ruled out for this game. Also, the left side of their offensive line is hurting. Tristan Colon, their left guard, and DJ Humphries, their left tackle, were both listed as questionable with injuries. And Doesn't matter to me on the offensive side of the ball. The Arizona Cardinals still give up a shit pile of points. They are 28th in scoring defense. C.J. Stroud has only thrown 2 interceptions this year. He's the favorite for the offensive rookie of the year. He does get Nico Collins back, his number 1 wideout from a calf injury. Damian Pierce is still out with his ankle injury, and Noah Brown, their wide receiver who went off last week, is questionable with a knee injury, but he should play. Linebacker Will Anderson should play as well, but I'm feeling good about the Texans covering this spread here of 6 points, and I think that they will win all the way.
What's the score? Give me a score.
Let's call it in my head right off the bat, 27-13. So I'm going to stick with that.
Ooh, 27-13.
I like the way that D'Amico Ryans has their defense playing.
Okay. Jets Bills. What do you got on that? What's that spread?
That is Bills -7. The Jets are at 4-5. I don't know how they're 4-5 with that offense, and the Bills are 5-5. We know how they are 5-5. So the Jets, we all know their defensive struggle or the offensive struggles, but their defense is seventh in total scoring. Robert Saleh sticking with QB Zach Williams. What the hell is he supposed to do? Bring in Tim Boyle? Bring in somebody off the street? You know?
I'm not convinced, and I kind of get it from this front. Like, I don't know. I mean, I've listened to NFL radio all week, and people are bitching and complaining about how Trevor Siemian put him in. It's like Trevor Siemian sucks too.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, but Trevor Siemian is not an upgrade over Zach Wilson. I mean, they're literally the same guy. So, I mean, I get it from a Jets standpoint. I know, look, Jets fans are pissed off because they feel like it's the arrogance of Joe Douglas. It's the arrogance of Robert Saleh that they're, look, you spent this. It's what do they call that? The sunken cost.
Yeah. Yeah.
And look, I get it, but at the same time too, and I heard this the other day. All right, people are like, well, you got to, if we've learned anything after losing Joe Burrow, after losing Deshaun Watson, after losing Aaron Rodgers, after losing, I can't think of the other starting quarterback that's been out all year. But
anyway,
they're saying like, Matt Stafford got hurt earlier in the year too, right? So it's like, well, you got to have a better, the NFL's at a point now where you got to have a better backup quarterback. Okay. And that's what it was. The conversation was, do we need to start looking at how NFL rosters are reorganized or the importance it's placed on a backup quarterback? It's like, look, of course you can say that, but tell me, Mike Babel, where is this fountain of backup quarterbacks that are suddenly good? I mean, spare me the whole like, well, we need to get better back. Where the fuck are you going to find them?
Yeah, I mean, not all of them are going to be bagging groceries, and they're going to be diamonds in the rough for crying out loud. And it also goes back. We're overthinking this. Okay, your quarterback problem right now with injuries is not the quarterback itself; it's your offensive line that sucks. That's why no Aaron Rodgers. That's why no.
Aaron Rodgers, I think, was just a freak deal. His
fourth play was a non-contact injury, but still, he was running for his life. Wait a minute. He was running for his life those first 4 plays, and he did get hurt scrambling because he had no time to throw. Getting back to Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson, I don't think is a problem. I think the problem is again Nathaniel Hackett. Okay, because I watched that Sunday night game against the Raiders. They finally got some bootlegs out of him, and they finally got him out of the pocket. You know what? He outplayed AOC, Adrian O'Connell, the rookie quarterback out of Michigan State. He actually looked pretty good, okay? His one mistake, aside from the interception to Robert Spillane, and Spillane just deked him. That was just a veteran deking.
I was going to say, that was just a damn good play.
That was just a damn good play. The only other mistake he stepped out on the 3-yard line on that scramble, right?
That hurt.
Right, but then they have 1st and goal at the 3, a couple of an offensive holding and an offensive, and then a false start. They just shoot themselves in the foot. Is that Zach Wilson's fault? No. Is it Zach Wilson's fault that he's been sacked so many times? No. He only got sacked twice against the Raiders because they moved him out of the pocket. I want to see 6 to 7 bootlegs out of Zach Wilson. Get him out of the pocket a lot, and then you will. You know what? He'll live a lot longer, but. I don't know. It remains to be seen.
look, I get it. People want to dog our boy Zach Wilson out, and look, it's not like it's that crazy to suggest, but I will say this. I mean, look at what he's had to deal with, and again, I'm not saying that this guy is going to end up being an all-world performer, but I will say this about Zach Wilson: right, wrong, or indifferent. Look at the situation he's been put in. Look at what they've put around. I mean, look, who's he got to throw to outside of Garrett Wilson? Okay,
who's questionable right now?
Who's questionable? Which I better go update my roster today. You got Garrett Wilson, who's about all you got. You gave him a bunch of Aaron Rodgers rejects in Alan Lazard, who's never been who's never been worth a damn. You brought Randall Cobb, who the only reason Randall Cobb's still in the league is because he's boys with Aaron Rodgers. I mean, that's the only reason Randall Cobb is in the NFL. It's because he's friends with Aaron Rodgers, because otherwise he has zero business being on an NFL.
And Dalvin Cook, who's now disgruntled because he's not getting the ball.
Well, he looks slow. And I said that week one when I watched
him. Breece Hall is a hell of a lot better, especially coming out of the backfield.
Dalvin Cook, I'm sorry, but there's a reason why nobody wanted you. There's a reason why and maybe if Aaron Rodgers, but again, everybody keeps talking about, bringing Aaron Rodgers back. To your point, Mike, he'd get the ball out a little bit faster, but at the same time too, though, I mean, with the way that, guys have been under pressure, I mean, I don't know what kind of difference he's really going to make when he's got, people in his face immediately. So
he's not the most mobile quarterback in the world. So if you've got a very suspect offensive line, which the Jets, we've known this ever since.
It's a bottom five line.
What's that?
I said it's a bottom five offensive line.
Yeah, I mean, we've known this since OTA. So the major.
I want to say I heard the other day on the broadcast, they've tried 6 or 7 different offensive lineups, or excuse me, it's 5 or 6 different starting offensive line groups. So
not just that, their biggest hope in the preseason was getting David Bakhtiari from the Packers, and he's been on IR. So as if that would have helped them. That was their big plan. So anyway, they're traveling to Buffalo.
You know what? That just shows, real quick, to your point, that just shows NFL-wise how difficult from an offensive, or excuse me, from a GM's perspective. Okay, think about it this way. Joe Douglas has been lauded for the fact that over the last couple of years, he's put together some incredible draft classes and some incredible defenses, right? I mean, he really has.
Yeah.
He's done a marvelous job. However, he's done a shit job building the O-line, all right? And he put all his eggs in the Aaron Rodgers basket, and we've seen how that's played out.
Well, I mean, to be fair to him, I mean, he did roll the dice on in the 2020 draft by picking Mekhi Becton out of Louisville. I mean, he was very highly thought of.
Oh, no. I mean, hell, it's a starting left tackle.
Right. But, I mean, that's the only one. But you're right.
Well, no. But my point is that my point in not is to dog Joe Douglas. It's to show that the idea of comprehensive team building, how difficult it is.
Sure.
Because again, Joe Douglas has been lauded for what he's been able to do on the defensive side of the ball, but again, has been very suspect on the offensive side. And a game we're going to talk about later on today with the Kansas City Chiefs. Look, Brett Veach has done a masterful job of putting this team together and putting together a great defense. But through his 5 years as GM of the Kansas City Chiefs, and again, he's on one of the greatest runs in GM history, he's yet to develop a wide receiver worth a shit. I mean, look, he did a phenomenal job rebuilding the offensive line after what happened against Tampa Bay. He's done an incredible job to the point where this is the best defense that Pat Mahomes has ever had. But guess what? Travis Kelce was not his draft pick. Tyreek Hill was not his draft pick, okay? Guess who was his draft pick? Mecole Hardman, garbage.
Justin Ross,
right? Noah Gray.
Sky Moore. Yeah, it's understandable. I mean,
you know what I'm saying? But and so it's one of those deals where it's like, man, you got to be, you kind of got to dog him with a grain of salt because
we don't know, Fred, if he is the only person making these evaluations. Maybe we don't know if, let's say, if he understands what his strengths are and what his weaknesses are. Let's hope he understands that one of his weaknesses is picking wide receivers.
Well, he knows now.
Maybe we don't even know if he is the one making the final call on the wide receiver draft.
He's got to be. No. Well, look, whether he is or he isn't, guess what? Guess who makes the call on draft day? The GM.
Right, he is. That's true. But my point, I guess, better said, is who has his ear on wide receiver scouting?
Okay. Well, you better go find somebody new then, because look, I'll tell you like this. I don't know if you saw the tweet I put out yesterday or the day before where they trotted out the Chiefs wide receiver. Funny how they wait till week 11 to trot out the Chiefs wide receiver coach and have him talk to the media. Jesus Christ, this kid.
That was awesome.
Nice guy. I'm sure he's a gem of a human. Okay, but as far as coaching up my wide receivers. Like, that was all I needed. Watching him for 5 minutes or 90 seconds, however long that clip was, told me all I needed to know why our wide receivers ain't worth a fuck. And then last thing, and I'll get off this tip. I'll stop.
No.
You give, and I got to give Fred too credit for this. You signed Marquez Valdez-Scantling. Number one, you should have never signed him because of the hyphenated last name. Okay, that's
right.
number one.
Can't trust.
Number two. If you didn't put up good numbers with Aaron Rodgers, what on earth makes you think you're going to put up good numbers with Pat Mahomes? Okay? Because look.
Fitty's going to get you the ball.
Oh, because Aaron Rodgers doesn't know how to do that? I mean, look, you know as well as anybody, all right? There's certain guys who we get it. When you go from being with a shit quarterback, I mean, look, if Garrett Wilson went from Zach Wilson to Pat Mahomes and went off for 1,600 yards or 1,700 yards next year and, 112 catches or some shit like that, we'd be like, well, look at what happened. He went to a better quarterback, okay? The difference between Mahomes and Rodgers is negligible, right? I mean, maybe a little obviously different now at this stage of their careers, but I mean, prime Rodgers, prime Mahomes, I mean, we're grasping at straws here. My point is, what did you really think you were going to get out of Marquez Valdez-Scantling in Kansas City that you weren't going to get out of that he hadn't already shown you in Green Bay? And guess what? When you look at his numbers in Kansas City, dollars for donuts, damn near the exact same. Like, nothing has changed for him. He's been just as underwhelming and worthless in Kansas City as he was in Green Bay. I digress. What's the spread? Real quick, pick your Jets-Bills winner.
Okay, so Bills -7. I think the Bills win, but I don't think they cover. The Bills they come into this game about as healthy as they have been. The one thing that I really would like them to do is get James Cook the ball more. He's fifth in the league in yards per attempt at a little bit more than 5 yards per attempt, but he has only 12 attempts per the game. And Josh Allen has to. We all know this. He leads the league in interceptions with 11.
You don't say. I hadn't heard that.
Well, now that Jimmy Garoppolo is on the bench, after starting 3-0, they've lost 4 of 6, including that turnover-filled loss to the Broncos at home. That was their first.
What do you mean they started 3-0?
Yeah, they started 3-0.
Who did?
The Buffalo Bills.
No, they didn't. Hell, they lost week 1. What are you talking about?
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. No. After winning 3. Sorry, they won 3 in a row. They won 3 in a row.
Have you had your coffee yet? Have you drank coffee?
I've had 2. That's probably the part of the problem. But they have lost 4 of 6. So, but Josh Allen has to take care of the football better. He's got to get the ball to Gabe Davis. Really, Gabe Davis is a guy who catches everything thrown to him.
Gabe Davis hasn't done shit since the AFC Championship game 2 years ago.
He hasn't but it's all about keeping Stephon Diggs happy. And I'm tired. I'm tired of that. I'm sorry. James Cook needs to get the ball more. Gabe Davis needs to get the ball more. And Josh Allen needs to stop turning the ball over. That being said, because of the offensive woes of the New York Jets, I think the Bills prevail in this one.
Give me a score.
21-17.
21-17. So you and I are both in.
I didn't know we were predicting scores, but okay.
Of course we're good. I mean, you got to do the spread, bro.
I just said
get your mind right. I like I'm with you on this. I like the Bills to win as well, and I've also got this game as a push. I got the Bills winning 23-16. I do think the Jets find a way to score a touchdown today, but ultimately, look, the
It'll be a
Bills.
pick six.
Look, the Bills have to win today, okay? Because if the Bills lost today, I'd fire Sean McDermott immediately. If the Bills if you lose to the Jets,
At home.
Sean McDermott's done. Vikings and Broncos. The reason why I've got this game listed, because the Vikings are one of the hottest teams in the NFL right now, and I would make the case that the Broncos are one of the hottest teams in the NFL right now. And two teams started off very, very sluggish to the point where we were questioning Sean Payton, we were questioning Kevin O'Connell, we were questioning where the direction of these two teams, and suddenly these are two of the hottest teams and two coaches who are right now in discussion for head coach of the year. Which, if that was left up to Mike Babbo, Kevin O'Connell would be your head coach of the year so far. I think Sean Payton is showing why he's the genius that he is. We gave him a lot of shit to start the season, but I'll tell you what, after what they've done these last 3 weeks, give me the spread. And this game is where today?
This is at Denver. It's at Mile High, or
at Denver.
They call it. Broncos -3, which tells you it's pretty much a toss-up because the home team always gets 3 points. Vikings 6-4. They've won 5 in a row. They are led by the former rocket scientist Joshua Dobbs. He's the NFL darling right now. And of course, like Kevin O'Connell, who's like I said, he's my dark horse candidate for the head coach of the year. However, Justin Jefferson has been ruled out for this game, even though he was designated to return off of IR. He still is nursing that hamstring injury. Alexander Madison, the running back, is questionable with a concussion. The Vikings offense still, though, is pretty high-powered. I think they're 12th in the league in scoring. Their defense has improved.
You got Josh Dobbs. That's all that matters.
Yeah, they got Josh Dobbs. But playing at Mile High, different deal. The Broncos have played a lot better defensively late, even though they're still last in the league in scoring. I think if you take that 70 burger that the Dolphins hung on them in Miami week 3 or week 4, their defense looks a lot better. They've won 3 in a row, including that huge upset that we talked about against the Buffalo Bills on Monday night. Russell Wilson taking care of the football again. Fred, no interceptions again. He's only got 4. Second fewest in the NFL. 68% of his passes have been completed. He's thrown 18 touchdowns as well. The defense has allowed only 270 yards per game the last 4 games. The only injury of note is linebacker P.J. Locke is out with an ankle injury. I like the Broncos to win this game.
I was going to say, I got Broncos 23-20. I got Broncos 23-20, another push, but I like them at home, and I like what they're doing. And I think the Josh Dobbs hype train slows down considerably today.
Yeah, I got the Broncos let me call it 2017, but I got them on a push as well. But I like the Broncos in this one. The Vikings, they just don't play that great away from the dome.
Well, and we'll see what they do in cold weather. Incidentally enough, they are a cold weather. They are the coldest cold weather places. But hey, go figure. Steelers and Browns. We'll make this one quick. Obviously, the bad news of the week. We had 2. And I'm not going to say. I don't even know if we're even still including Deshaun Watson in the elite category. We know he's in the very good category. But big loss for him this week, and you and I talked about it on Wednesday. Cleveland Brown fans can't win for losing. And, of course, Deshaun, who just when you thought he was starting to turn the corner a little bit professionally, boom, he has the shoulder fracture, so he's out today. You got the rookie kid from UCLA. You're not even going with P.J. Williams. Or PJ Walker, I'm sorry, to start at quarterback. So I look, I know this isn't your, this isn't your 90s Steelers. This isn't the early 2000s Steelers. This game is in Cleveland. Am I not mistaken on that?
It is in Cleveland, and the Browns are a 2.5-point favorite.
2.5-point favorites.
Both teams are 6-3.
I just worry. Look, you got a rookie quarterback with a hyphenated last name. That scares me on a couple fronts. And you got Kenny Two Gloves, who I still think is one of the worst quarterbacks in the National Football League. I'm sorry, but I just have no respect for a guy that wears a glove, unless his name's Michael Jackson, R.I.P. I like the Steelers to find a way to win this game today. I'm going to go with And I mean, look, this is going to be an ugly offensive game today. This is just going to be stanky to the highest of heavens. I'm going to take it one step further. I'm going to say, I say Steelers win a shit show. I'm going to say the Steelers win a shit show.
Don't hold back, Fred.
19-12.
Okay.
4 field goals and a touchdown for the Steelers.
Look, you hate on Kenny Pickett all you want, but the guy hasn't thrown an interception in 159 passes.
Mike, he doesn't throw the ball further than 10 yards. I mean,
that's fine. That's what he does well.
Throw a fucking interception in the flat.
You know what? You do what you do well, and you don't do what you don't do well. Okay? I know that sounds profound, but the offense has turned the ball over only 8 times. That's third in the NFL. That's the only thing this offense has done right. Their ball hawking D is number 1 in turnovers. That's the reason why they're 6-3, and that's the reason why they should beat the Browns. I know the Browns are a 2.5-point favorite. I'll do you one better. I think the Steelers prevail in a shootout, 16-9.
Yeah, a shootout, 16-9.
The only thing I can think about with the Browns going with DTR instead of PJ Walker is because they've already seen enough out of PJ Walker.
I was going to say, you've seen.
And they thought when Deshaun was out, they figured, okay, we just need a placeholder until Deshaun comes back. Now that they know he's not coming back, they might as well see what they got out of their 5th round pick out of UCLA, who's making a second start. Didn't do so well his first start in week 4 against, of course, it was against the Baltimore Ravens. He threw 3 picks. He was sacked 4 times. But
hold that thought, Mike Babbitt. We got Henry Thomas calling. Hold on one
second.
Perfect. Hold that thought. Yes, sir. We're doing a show. You are live on this show as we speak. I took this call because it's not every day that a Hall of Fame nominee calls me on my cell phone while we're doing a show with Bitter Mike Babbo. So, well, he can't hear you because I don't have you on speaker. I did send the link. I sent you a link. Check your Gmail. I sent you the link, and it'll pop up, and we'll as soon as you clock in, you're in. All right.
All right. Anyway, so to finish it off, I mean, this is they're looking at the future as opposed to the present, a lot like what the Raiders did with benching Jimmy Garoppolo and then starting their rookie 4th round draft pick Adrian O'Connell. They just want to see what they got. Injuries. Minka Fitzpatrick, their all-pro safety for the Steelers, remains out with a hamstring. As well as their nose tackle, Montavious Adams. He's out with an ankle injury. Pat Freiermuth is activated from the IR. He was listed as questionable, but he should play. He's still nursing a hamstring injury.
Can I rattle off these stats to you, by the way?
What's that?
Can I rattle off these stats to you?
Yeah, go.
Okay.
I love stats.
I mean, look, he's 6-3. All right, so that might be that's the most important number right there. So we'll give our boy Kenny Two Gloves that. Outside of that, I'll tell you what. If you're banking on him in fantasy, you're probably in last place.
You're eating hot dogs.
Okay, my man's got a 61% completion percentage, 6 touchdowns, 4 picks, and he's thrown for 1,600 yards this year. He's averaging a robust 179 yards per game. We'll go ahead and say 180 because it's 179.6. So we'll go ahead and
round up. You're insane.
And he's got a robust QBR rating, of 36 point. Excuse me. I this must be the coffee.
You threw up in your mouth. Is what you did.
36.3 for our boy Kenny Two Gloves. So
that still rounds up.
Dude, that's terrible. What did you say the score was going to be? 16-9?
Yeah, I think I said 16-9 in a shootout.
It doesn't matter. That might be the game. That might be the worst game of the day. All right, let's talk some. We're waiting on it. We're efforting our boy Henry Thomas. I sent him the link, so hopefully he'll get.
Let's do Raiders and Dolphins, and then we'll finish up with because this is a Chiefs show.
Raiders and Fins. This is the game, and I read an article, and I meant to send it to you. I saw it on The Athletic where they were talking about how there's a ding dong, the witch is dead kind of vibe going on in Las Vegas right now.
I saw it. They were talking about how the players.
Okay, so you read that article?
I didn't. Yeah, I read a little bit of it.
Okay, so you like they were like like last week or whatever it was, they wanted to leave earlier, but the players said no, we want to leave Saturday, so they left Saturday and they won the game. Whatever. It's like okay, I mean, it's chronic and palm trees right now for the Las Vegas Raiders.
Yeah, they're trying to play it off as the inmates running the asylum, and I don't agree with that one bit.
Be careful with that.
I know.
Bob McNair fired or
okay, the crazies running the asylum. Okay, fine, whatever. Let's not get all PC and shit. But the point is that he is giving them ownership. Interim head coach. I want the interim tag removed now. Interim head coach Antonio.
A few more games first before we start.
Okay, fine. Antonio Pierce is giving these guys ownership, but also accountability. All right. Look, he's letting them play a lot more looser. He's letting them, have fun in the locker room and stuff like that. But to a man, everyone says when they go to work on that practice field, they go to work. Okay. Yeah. There's no excuses. There's no let up. There's no sugarcoating it. If you make a mistake, he's going to call you out on it. And he's like, look, if you want to take ownership over that, fine, but you're also going to be accountable for this. And so I got no problem with that. And people what they don't understand is that did he let them have a say as to when they leave for Miami? Sure. But what they also did is that they had practices 3 hours earlier. They had meetings 3 hours early. They had walkthroughs 3 hours earlier. So I'm not buying into this. Okay, he's just letting them do whatever the hell they want to do. That's not true. That's not who Antonio Pierce is. Okay, he understands what it takes to win. He's a Super Bowl winner. He's an All-Pro, and he's the smartest guy amongst that 53. He was always the smartest defensive player. He was always the smartest player on the field. If you listen to Tom Coughlin and Greg Williams, those coaches who coached with him. So I've got no problem with this.
Sorry, I apologize. I had to update. Henry Thomas, I had to send it to his new email. I had his old burner account.
Listen, the thing is that can they keep the good vibes going? Can they continue to?
That's the bottom line. Hey, look, I want to see today what the Raiders are made of, and it's less about what the Raiders are made of. I want to see Antonio Pierce. Now, I will say this: he is dealing with all of Josh McDaniels' old assistants, right? Like these are all guys that Josh McDaniels hired. So that's got to be a little bit. I mean, it's got to be a little bit. I mean, this is a weird dynamic that he's kind of navigating through. Now, that being said, if you're the assistant, outside of the offensive coordinator who got fired, it really doesn't serve you to be indignant or to say, oh, well, I'm a Josh McDaniels. No, because look, at the end of the day, look, you're trying to show, hey, I want to keep a job. I want to, this is what I'm good at doing. I mean, and look, we're not going to, whether we agree with Josh McDaniels' personality or not, I mean, look, the guy does know football.
But these guys aren't the first set of assistants that have seen a head coaching change. And so, they understand.
That's a big part of it too. You're exactly right.
They understand they've got a job to do, right? And they want, like you said, they want to keep their job. But at the same time, I really do think that there's been a breath of fresh air because there's still 53 guys that were in a shell that were playing scared, that were looking over their shoulder, and they're playing a lot looser. And so that permeates throughout the rest of the organization. And certainly freeing up, getting rid of Mick Lombardi, the offensive coordinator, and giving Bo Hardigree the reins. And so far, grades are good. But like you said, can they keep the good vibes going? Can Antonio Pierce continue to get these guys to play hard when it's 38-10 in the fourth quarter? That's what I want to see. Freddie D. The concern also that I have two big concerns with this. Antonio Pierce in in the Silver and Black podcast that is hosted by JT the Brick, and in his one of his press conferences during the week, he says we got to put our track shoes on. I have concerns about that because we can't run with these guys. We can't keep. We cannot match stride for stride with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. My other concern is the rookie quarterback, Adrian O'Connell. He must take care of the ball like he did against the Giants, but he didn't do against the Jets. And he cannot hold on to the ball too long. Like he did acknowledge in his post-game presser against the Jets. He held on to the ball way too long and he took too many sacks. Can they get Tua out of the pocket also? When he is out of the pocket, his QBR falls. It's precipitous. The defense is allowed – they force only 11 turnovers and only 2 fumbles all year long. That's really bad. I think that's like 28th in the NFL. And they've also – they're 28th in rush yards per attempt defensively. Colton Miller, they're all pro offensive tackle. He's still questionable with a shoulder injury. He hasn't been ruled out yet. Dylan Parham, the left guard, he's also questionable with a calf injury. Freddie, I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. Okay.
I know you are.
I'm all in with Antonio Pierce. I just don't see. I've looked at the stats. I've looked at the records. I've looked at everything, I parsed through even the 3 losses for the Dolphins, and all were away. They're all on the road. I don't see a clear path to victory for the Raiders. I really don't. They will have to play a nearly flawless game. They'll have to play ball control and hope the Dolphins make some mistakes. You cannot win a track meet with these guys. The best way to keep the one time they've beaten the Chiefs in recent history with Tyreek Hill, by the way, what did they do? They kept Fitting and Tyreek Hill on the sidelines, and they pounded the rock with Josh Jacobs, right? And third down throws to Hunter Renfrow. They must avoid the defensive penalties that extend Miami drives, right? They got to take care of the football. They got to stick with the run, and they have to somehow keep that Miami offense on the field. This is going to –
You mean off the field?
Off the field, excuse me. Sorry, on the sidelines, I meant. The only Achilles heel that I found for the Dolphins is that they are -4 in the turnover ratio. But even
I don't know if I'd say that's the only Achilles heel. It's definitely one of them. I think it comes down to this, and
right.
We got our boy Henry Thomas on because Henry knows that defensive line and knows the defensive front 7 for the Miami Dolphins team very well. I guess the first question is, has Henry been able to log in? I know he's got an Android phone, so that may be part of the issue right here. Henry Thomas, are you there? Much like the NFL communications team, we are waiting for an answer. So we'll let Henry figure out what he's got going on there. He just logged off, so he'll log back on. Look, I think it comes down to this. I think you and I both expect the Dolphins to win today. I think it's a matter of, can the Raiders, and I get what he's saying when he says we got to put our track shoes on, because look, we all know Miami's a fast team, and when you get to the fastest wide receivers in the NFL, and really the Achane kid comes back today, so that's a big deal. Don't know what he's going to look like.
He's questionable, but he should play, right?
He's going to play. I guess he's been all right for the last week or two.
Yeah, him and his 11 or 12 yards a carry. Jesus.
I've got a bold pick. I've got a bold prediction. I do think the Miami Dolphins win today, but I do think you're going to see Jimmy Garoppolo today. I really do. I think Jimmy Garoppolo makes an appearance today. I'm a big believer in. I get it. He's had a rough kind of go so far this season, but I will say this. I'm curious to know what he looks like with Antonio Pierce, because if we've said how much better everybody else looks with Antonio Pierce, why not extend that same love to our boy Jimmy Garoppolo? Not saying he's going to turn around and look like Tom Brady all of a sudden, but we do know this. This guy is a Super Bowl quarterback. He's been a winner most of his career. We do know that he can make some dumb throws, but when you give him time, he's a better quarterback than Adrian O'Connell. All right. But again, it comes down to, all right, given the situation of where the Raiders are at this year, is he the guy? And I think he's kind of caught some flack for being the whole Josh McDaniels guy that he brought in. But, hey, if somebody throws $75 million at you for 3 years and you're Jimmy Garoppolo, of course you're going to take it.
I'm going to respectfully disagree. Unless AOC gets hurt, I don't think you're going to see Jimmy Garoppolo, because, like AP said in his first press conference, we're going with AOC because he gives us the best chance to win. Jimmy is not nearly he's not mobile either. He's got a bad back. He's got a bad ankle, and he's going to need to get rid of the ball sooner. He holds onto the ball too long, and he's not very mobile. At least AOC is somewhat mobile. And I know that he is going to be grilled into his head to get rid of the ball sooner.
What's the spread on this game?
Minus 13.5.
Yo!
Yeah, it was, and it opened up at minus 14. It's the biggest spread in the NFL this week.
All right, who you got?
It pains me to say this, but I got the Dolphins covering.
Yeah. What's the score?
Oh, God. 38-17. I mean, it's not going to be easy because, I mean, like I said, I don't see a clear path to victory. I just want them to be competitive to the final whistle. That's it.
I'm with you. You got 38-17. I've got them winning 34-17. I do think that, I can see the Raiders hanging around, but I think it's going to, like you said, I think in the second half, it's going to get a little bit ugly. So I do think 34.
Yeah, I think you'll see. I think you'll see Miami's backup quarterback before you'll see Jimmy Garoppolo. I don't even know who Miami's backup quarterback is.
Mike White. We shall see. I'm predicting that there will be a Jimmy G sighting today. I do think there will be a Jimmy G sighting today because I'm just like I said, I don't mind Adrian O'Connell, but I just think that this offense needs a little bit of a jump start after what I've seen over the last 2 weeks. And look, I mean, it's one of them deals where look, you're paying Jimmy G the money. You might as well look. I just want to see.
Yeah, you already know what you got out of him. You got a guy who's immobile and he's a turnover machine. And what does it say in the locker room if he goes back to Jimmy G? I mean, really. Unless AOC gets it, you're not. I know you're not going to play Brian Hoyer. He's a shit show.
You know what it tells me? If you go back to Jimmy G, it tells me that Adrian O'Connell is a 5th-round quarterback from Purdue, is what it tells me.
4th, but okay.
4th, 5th, we're fine. I mean, he said 4th. Put some respect on Adrian O'Connell's name.
Hey, Joe Montana was 3rd round. Tom Brady was 5th. Tom
Brady was 6th round. Tom Brady was 6th round pick 199.
Whatever. I mean, it's the body of work, okay? But either way, I get what you're saying. I mean, I don't know. Maybe you know what? Maybe he puts in Jimmy G because he doesn't want AOC to get hurt. But again, that defense of Miami is, not the greatest either.
They're hit or miss. I mean, look, they gave you kind of the blueprint on. They did a great job shutting down Travis Kelce a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, I mean, their defense is 26th in points allowed, and and they're not that great against the run.
2 things bug me about Adrian O'Connell. Okay, number one, he can't grow a mustache, but insists on doing it anyway.
In the wedding ring,
he's a wedding ring wearer. Okay, he's a wedding ring wearer. So I mean. 0 for 2, all right? 0 for fucking 2, okay? He's got a fucking chomo mustache, and he's a wedding ring wearer, all right? Give me Jimmy G. One guy's banging fucking strippers. The other guy looks like, he's not even old enough to get into a strip club, okay? Give me.
They wouldn't allow him with that mustache anyway.
I wouldn't have let him around. I wouldn't let him around my daughter with that mustache. I can tell you that much. Look, if your son was trying to grow a mustache like that, or if my son was trying to grow a mustache like that, I'd say, look.
I'd give him a razor for Christmas.
Oh, absolutely. It's unacceptable.
All right.
Last but not least, and it looks like we've efforted to get Henry Thomas. As I've given him shit for the last 10 years that I've known him.
Failed miserably.
What you get for having an Android.
Yeah, no shit. Right.
Even though I almost went to an Android. And I'll tell you what, this Apple 15, I'm over it. But anyway, Chiefs, Eagles. Chiefs are what, 2.5 points? So it's a push, basically.
Chiefs are, 2.5
I'm
points.
going to say this, and this is all I'm going to say on this game. I'm not going to say
No, it's
anything.
not, but go ahead.
Okay, what's that?
I said, no, it's not, but go ahead.
No. When you hear it, you'll know what I'm talking about. One thing will determine this game tomorrow night. One thing. You ready?
Yeah.
Chiefs wide receivers. That's it.
You're going on a limb there, Freddie D.
That's it. Because look, we are past the point. Of we know what the Chiefs defense is about. Okay, and the Chiefs defense is going to do their thing tomorrow against the Philadelphia. I almost said 76ers against the Philadelphia Eagles. Look, Philadelphia will get 17 to 20 points. They're a good offense, and they've got playmakers all over the field. So to slow them down to 14, 17, 20 points is as long as you're not giving up 35 and getting boat race like you did last year in the Super Bowl. Justin Reed, who I think has had a phenomenal year, huge bounce back year for as bad as he was last year, for what he's been able to do this year on the backside of that defense. The O-line should do its thing. The defense is going to do its thing. You've got 2 evenly matched teams, 2 very well-coached teams. The separator in all of this is if the Chiefs wide receivers give Pat an opportunity to spread the ball downfield, to actually, not sit there and hold the ball for 5, 6, 7 seconds when Kelsey's been bracketed and you're waiting for some slap dick, whether it's Sky Moore, Rashee Rice, insert, underperforming wide receiver here.
Yeah.
If that can be the difference, Chiefs win. If they go back to being the shit show that they've been all season, Eagles win this game.
So I got
my boy.
two.
I'm locking in my prize.
Sorry about that. Two big questions for me on this one.
Yeah.
Number one is, can the Chiefs stop shooting themselves in the foot with all their turnovers? 17 total, including 10 interceptions. Granted, 2 of them are by Blaine Gabbert, but 8 picks by Fitting. Granted, not all of them are his fault because his wide receivers can't catch the fucking ball. They tip it right to a waiting defender's arms. Secondly, can they get Isaiah Pacheco involved in this offense?
True.
This guy nets over 4 yards a carry, yet only less than 15 attempts a game. And I think they only got like 3 rushing touchdowns all year long. Fitting is still fitting, but he hasn't been as accurate. But those are the 2 big questions for me. Both of these teams are underwater in the turnover ratio, right? The Chiefs are -4. The Eagles are -2, right? And whoever makes the fewest mistakes is going to win this game. Both teams have, these are opposite teams, right? The Chiefs are living off their defense, their number 1 defense, whereas the Eagles have a high-powered offense. They're number 3, right? So we'll see.
Their defense isn't shabby.
Their defense isn't terrible. They're 17th in total points allowed. So the Chiefs are very healthy. The only injury of note is their backup wide receiver, Richie James. He's listed as questionable with a knee injury. The Eagles are missing. They are missing a key piece in their offense. Dallas Goedert, their tight end, broke his forearm 2 weeks ago against the Cowboys. He's out for the next three weeks. So that's going to hurt a little bit. If the Chiefs can somehow double in, contain A.J. Brown, the wide receiver, because ever since he complained, like the diva wide receiver that he is, in week 3 that he wasn't getting the ball enough, he's been getting a ton of targets, a ton of touchdowns, and Javonte Smith is now a forgotten man. Can the Chiefs defense somehow force DeAndre Swift to turn the ball over, which he is prone to do? That being said, I think the Chiefs win out. I think they cover the spread. I'm calling it 24-20.
I love I'm so torn on this. I really am. I mean, there's part of me that I have no faith in the Chiefs receiving core. I just don't.
Nor should you.
And I'll tell you what.
Here's one thing, though. Here's one thing, and I don't mean to interrupt you, Freddie. Rashee Rice is number 2 in completion percentage. He's caught 78% of his targets. And when I told that to our boy Nick Medina, he's like, okay, what does that compare? It's like, well, Travis Kelce's got 79. So he's catching everything thrown to him. You're just not throwing him enough.
Well, that's not all entirely true. He probably, look, the Chiefs, if I'm not mistaken, are 1 or 2 in drop passes this year.
Yeah, but that's Tony. That's Sky Moore. Rashee.
Yes, Rashee Rice. Trust me, Rashee Rice, who again has been your best receiver this season, right? I think there's no question about it. Rashee Rice, a rookie, 2nd-round draft pick out of SMU, has been your best draft pick. That being said, he's also been. I want to say he leads the team in drop passes. That being said, a guy who's never dropped a pass, okay, when it comes to all things Hall of Fame, the one, the only, the man, the myth, the legend, and the 2024 Pro Football Hall of Fame nominee.
Yes.
Henry.
You know what? So what's the closest hue to yellow jacket? Orange?
No, I gotta wear the purple for right now. I gotta go do an appearance in a moment.
Fine, but damn it, Henry! And I said this earlier in the show. I called out the Minnesota Vikings and their their whole organization, right on down to their alumni organization, for not talking you up some more, for not putting it out. I didn't see anything on their website saying Henry Thomas, 93.5 sacks, has been nominated. He's a semifinalist. Nothing.
Well, I'm not sure when this list came out. I was under the impression that it came out, late September or whatever, but I'm like I said, I wasn't sure. And I've even reached out to him. He's like, how y'all not tell me? What's going on? Nobody told me. But, it was cool to get all the fans and the friends reaching out saying congratulations. And it was definitely a moment of being stoked that I hadn't been in a long time.
That's great.
Well, look, man, I mean, look, as you and I both well know, Henry Thomas and Mike as well. I mean, look, we've been doing this. We've been talking about this for over a decade now. And, I think it's one of those deals that it's interesting. And I'd love to know the backstory as to, for a guy who's been out of the league 20 plus years, what was it about this year that they finally said, well overdue respect and nomination? What was different about putting Henry Thomas in this year as a nominee versus in years past? I don't know. I'd love to know the backstory on that, but regardless, whatever the backstory is, the reality is that you're here now. Henry, for as long as you've been doing this, and, you and I have had conversation after conversation, again, a little bit delayed, but for everything you've done in the National Football League, where does this rank?
Oh, it's way up there. Yesterday, like I said, it was the most stoked moment I'd been in a long, long time. I mean, running around glad handing everybody and high fiving and, getting the congratulations. It was like it was just announced over the air, over the networks. It was just unbelievable. So it's way up there. I mean, I respect the honor. I respect the process. But it's like we've talked about in the past. It's nothing I was gonna rush. And if they felt like I need to be there, then put me there. If not, it's not gonna change my life. But might change my life now, though.
No bad. Hey, it's one thing to be all pro Henry Thomas. It's another thing to be Hall of Famer Henry Thomas. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't want to short you on that. All right. So let's talk about what you do well. And that's talking all things National Football League. So we know, like you said, look, we've talked a few games this week. Let's talk about the game that you're in town for. Vikings, Broncos. You've got a Bronco team that has won 3 games in a row, playing some of the best football. What impresses you the most? The job they've done defensively, or the fact that Sean Payton has taken this team that at the beginning of the season we were talking about maybe this is one of the worst teams in the NFL to, if they win today, it's still an outside shot, but you're talking about a team that might be angling for a playoff spot if they find a way to win today.
Well, if they find a way to win, I'm most impressed with Peyton, because the way he has stayed after Wilson, to fall in line with the scheme, to understand what it is, to see how it's going, because you can see early on in the season, Russell Wilson fought it. Russell Wilson was doing Russell Wilson things that has not been working for the past few years, and he stayed on him. He had to do it sometime a little publicly, but sometimes you got to put that out there in a player's face to make him realize, because, Russell's been in the game, 7, 8, 10 years?
Yeah, I was going to say, about a decade now.
And to get a guy to change after you've had so much success, and it's hard to make a player realize you have to change because the game has changed and you've changed. You can't do the same old thing, because guess what? Seen it, done it, waiting for it. Oh, you're going to fake right and go left? Hey, I'm right here. Hey, So the way he stayed after him and got him to fall, to understand the offense and work with the offense, don't fight against it. It's definitely showing. I don't think they're gonna beat my Vikings today, though. But
does it surprise you though? And I agree with everything you just said. I guess what surprises me the most about that situation, though, is that it's one thing to have a Nathaniel Hackett who, as we've talked about on this show, and we've talked about, I mean, look, I think we can all question the legitimacy of a Nathaniel Hackett, because outside of Aaron Rodgers, who the three of us could OC Aaron Rodgers, Nathaniel Hackett has been less than stellar and less than impressive in his offensive game plan and the way he's drawn things up. Are you surprised that it took a few games for Russell Wilson to buy in to a Sean Payton when it's like, look, this guy's one of the best that we've seen in the last 30, 40 years?
Yeah. It's like I said, it's hard to get a player who has tasted so much success doing it this way.
Okay.
Yeah, and to get him to go another way. I mean, it's like a defensive lineman, defensive end that he's beating people around the corner with speed for 6-7 years.
Yeah.
Now it's not working. Well, the speed's still there. You don't have to add more speed. You have to learn how to use the speed. They're still afraid of it, but they're trying to get you at a cutoff point. Now let's use that. Let's take him up the field, come underneath, club him inside, give him more tools to work with and make him realize the game evolves because you make it evolve.
Henry,
Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, sorry. Henry, switching gears to your beloved Vikings. I mean, on the offensive side of the ball, obviously they lost their leader, their quarterback in Kirk Cousins, but instead
Whoa. They lost their quarterback. Stop that leader stuff.
their offensive leader. How's that?
Yeah. Okay.
Well, I mean, Justin Jefferson is still out, but I mean, so
Yeah.
he's been there for a long time, and he may not win you a game, but either way. But Joshua Dobbs steps in, comes in from the Arizona Cardinals. He has only 2 days to prepare. Steps in for an injured quarterback. I think that was his name. In all of a sudden, he didn't even have time to memorize or even get to know the guys in his huddle, and he leads him on a last-second win against the Falcons. And of course, he wins last week. I mean, what are you hearing about this guy's makeup? I mean, what is? Well,
the thing about the guy is he's very astute. He's some kind of brainiac type, engineer type.
Yeah. And
he studies really hard and he works really hard at it. The thing about it is him coming in, and it's good that Jefferson's not there for him, in my opinion, because he has to learn to pass the ball around. There's not one guy always looking for the ball, and he's not always looking for that one guy. So he's finding all the open receivers, and it's opening up the whole game plan for him without having to focus on one guy first, or Jefferson's going to be open. Next week, Jefferson's going to be back, and it's going to be a whole different game because he's going to have these 3 weeks to have learn these guys, to learn the system, and to move the ball around and to get it to different receivers. So Jefferson comes back, and now it's just going to be lanyap, that gravy and Cajun talk. It's just lanyap.
What'd you make of Sean McDermott getting rid of your boy Ken Dorsey this week?
I haven't really dove in that to unravel that one. I haven't gotten in. I heard it, and everybody was talking about it, but this nominee thing came down, and I was like, the hell with everybody else.
Yeah, they got your mind right now. You ain't worried about who's getting fired. Let's talk. Let's talk about the rich and prosperous Mr. Hank.
Well, yeah, exactly. We're sitting there, and I was sitting next to my dear friend Carl Lee, and we're talking, and I'm thinking they're just yanking my chain by saying it. And the guy brings me the article and shows it to me, and as I'm reading it, I turned to Carl Lee and said, "Hey, man, I can't hang out with you no more. I'm a nominee." And he was like, "Perfect. That's just perfect, Hank."
How about the fact that the guy that wrote the article didn't reach out to you for a comment?
Yeah.
I don't know.
The only thing that blows my mind, we're writing an LSU newsletter about one of our beloved alumni getting the highest honor you can get in professional football.
Fred, this is journalism.
Didn't we reach out and get his thoughts on, hey, Hank, how you feeling after the
Fred, this isn't the 1980s. This isn't journalism these days. These are just hack reporters. Come on. He's not going to call the subject.
He's learning. It's a college rag. It's a college paper. He's learning. Next time he'll know better.
We know he's on Instagram. We know look, when you Google Henry Thomas, 2 things come up. Big black Henry Thomas, the football player,
right?
The guy from ET. That's it.
That's exactly right.
That's it. Okay, it's not Henry Thomas hard to find. It's not hard to get him. It's very difficult to get him confused with the other Henry Thomas.
As generic as that name is, yeah, it's not hard to find, especially when we talk about famous Henry Thomas.
Right.
All right, real quick, because we're up against it, and games are kicking off here in 13 minutes. I know Henry's got shit to do this morning.
Yes, I do.
So, last but certainly not least, game of the week. Arguably, some people are saying game of the season so far. Let's not get carried away just yet. I'll let the play on the field determine that. Chiefs, Eagles tomorrow. Henry, you already know how I feel about this Chiefs receiving core. I've already told Mike and the folks already how I feel about it, and that's going to be the determining factor tomorrow night. What say the Hall of Fame nominee Henry Thomas?
I think the Chiefs come out ahead on this one. I do believe Hurts is going to have an outstanding game. But I think the way the defense has been stepping up for Kansas City, oh, my God, like I hadn't seen it in forever. I mean, they're coming out with some fire. I think they're going to be the key to holding them down, but and giving the offense a chance to actually catch some balls, that are in your hands. And it's gonna be one of those games. So I'm going with the Chiefs on this one.
Love it. What say you, Mike Bavo? Give me a final score.
Yeah, I think I already gave you one, right?
Give it to me again.
I thought it was 24-20 Chiefs. I know.
You said 24-22?
Yeah.
Yeah.
24-20 as well? Okay, because I've got 24-20. You're going
to have to rewind the tape, but I'm pretty sure I said.
Well, look, if you said 24-20, I'm going to say 24-20 as well. So let's just roll with it. Once again, I got to give a huge shout out to our dear friend and just all around. And look, I've been saying this for the last 10 years that I've known Henry Thomas. He's one of the best defensive tackles ever play in the history of the National Football League. It's about damn time they finally put some respect on your name, Henry Thomas.
I heard that.
A Bayou Bengal and a Eisenhower Eagle.
So.
Henry Thomas, well overdue, long overdue.
Yeah.
And like I said, man, I can't thank you enough. And it's an honor and a privilege to not only be your friend, but to be able to finally see all your hard work pay off. Like you said, it wouldn't have mattered one way or the other, but to finally have your peers put some respect on your name, long overdue. I tell you what, it's a win-win for everybody today.
All right. Well, thanks for having me on, you guys. I got to run. I got some other stuff I got to jump into, but hey, always a pleasure, man. Hey,
congratulations. It's a great honor and it's well-deserved. Like he said, way too long.
All right. Well, thank you much, guys. Holla at you. Peace.
God bless.
Come here. Out there. Henry Thomas, everybody. Henry Thomas, the one, the only. Good stuff from him as always. Mike, look, we got some football to watch. Games kick off in 10 minutes.
Let's do this.
We've got scores galore over here, so we will keep track of that. Mike, enjoy the games today. All right. I'm plugged into this Raiders Dolphins game, so I'll be curious to see how that thing plays out. We're pulling for an upset, though. We're not predicting one, but we're pulling for one.
I just want them to be competitive, and
that's it.
I want to keep this train going. I want AP to get the job. I really do, because he is Raider Nation. He bleeds silver and black, and he has given us something that we haven't had in a long time. I've talked to you about this before, is hope. And he gives some passion in there in the locker room. I know the players will play for him. 90% of them will. I'm still a little not sold on Marcus Peters. Amik Robertson comes back from a concussion. So we'll see. Yeah, I know. I keep talking on Marcus Peters, but he's got to show me something. He's got to show me some fucking heart.
Hey, look, I wouldn't worry about that. He ain't gonna be a Raider next year anyway. So
I hope not.
You're fine. Look, everybody, make sure to follow Chief Studios at the Bit of Mike, at the Freddie D. Give us a follow. And like I said, everybody's big week this week. Enjoy the NFL today. Enjoy Chiefs Eagles tomorrow. And Mike and I will be back on Wednesday to get you ready to recap what happened this weekend and get you ready for a big slate of games in Week 12. For the one, the only Bit of Mike, I'm still that dude, Freddie D. Enjoy the games on Sunday. Good afternoon. God bless.
Peace. See you.
Beautiful. Beautiful.